Since the dawn of time, there's always been one question on everyone's mind. Is there any game on this platform actually worth playing? Hi, my name is Random Items, and like most of you, I got every single free game that Epic Games ever handed out, and I played absolutely none of them. So over the next however long this takes, I will be playing every game that I can to determine if this platform is actually worth installing on my computer. Let's get it started with these 3 games. Thunderfolk begins like all great games do, with an EULA that goes on forever. After quickly selling my soul, we get into the actual game, which I can describe as digital D&D with cards. You get to pick classes and name them with the maximum creativity you can, follow a standard story of beginnings, then play a tutorial learning how the game's combat system actually works. Each card is unique to each character in each class. They let you move and attack, and even push people, which I of course use incredibly strategically.
Ooh, that looked like it hurt.
Each class's cards have unique abilities, like the Pyromancers to set fire around you, and then immediately hurt yourself on them. The part of the game that I found the most interesting was not the cards, but it was the Fate deck. The Fate deck is a modifier you pull every time that you attack. Pulling these cards gives you extra damage and a buff, negative damage, or negative damage and a buff, which kind of defeats the purpose of a bad card. You get to build these decks by unlocking them by leveling up, then fitting them into a total of 10 slots with requirements for both positive, negative, and neutral fates. This acts as a pseudo D20, but since you can't actually miss, it needs that aspect of random that will somehow still find a way to screw you over by pulling a -2, leaving the enemy at a singular point of health. Overall, this is more of a story game. It has relations between characters and townspeople, conversations you can have, and you can even change what a few characters call you. The voice acting and the characters are awesome. And yes, that includes this character, who you wouldn't believe it, is a minor. That's right, this bluebird is both a kid and a minor, cementing this penguin character as the worst in the game.
The penguin who
and
owns
not
the
just because
local
of their
mines,
voice.
and his niece, Amaya,
Bro.
who works for him, even though she's just a kid.
Messed up.
Just tell them! Bah, you're ridiculous!
This game would be a lot more fun with friends though, but since my D&D friends are actually playing D&D, and I couldn't convince them to open Epic Games anyways, it feels like a miss to me. Also, it turns out they didn't even have online multiplayer till the 2.0 update, which I think is kinda crazy for a game with a focus on multiplayer, despite not having it for PC. They did add this phone version though, which kinda works like a Jackbox game, which I think is really cool and interesting for a game of this style. Now it's time for the big question. Would I actually open Epic Games to play this? Or is it just another free game slop? It's a bit of a mixed bag. Since it's more of a friends game, I would have loved to use Steam's online service, and since the game goes on sale for a pretty good price, you could probably convince your friends to pick it up with you. This game is by no means slop, but I don't think I could find myself trudging through Epic Games just to play it. This would definitely work pretty well as a party game, but you'd have to find a pretty dedicated group to play that, and you might as well just play regular D&D at that point. There's definitely a lot I couldn't cover in this short time frame, including some aspects of the game I really enjoyed, like being able to rename statues and objectives to, well, whatever you want. I also didn't get a ton of time to play through it, since, I'm trying to play through every single Epic game right now. So for our purposes, Thunderfolk gets a mixed rating. Not because I don't enjoy it, but because I don't want to open Epic Games for it. So with that, on to our next game. Ranger is a tile-based puzzle game, or RPA, role puzzling adventure, in which you play this person called Gemma. You start out terrorizing this small town by literally being a menace and moving the ground underneath them. That's right, this is a tile puzzle game in which you move the ground underneath you and change the world as you know it, even dragging out the tiles of your house and everything else that's attached to it. Now, I am not good at puzzle games, in fact I would say I quite suck, but I enjoyed this very much. It was very colorful, very enjoyable, and its music was one of the best video game soundtracks I've heard in a while. One of the most interesting parts about this game is how it does its storytelling. As you travel, the camera zooms out and you get to see these large comic book-like pages that travel through the story with you. There's of course dialogue in this game, and lots of it. There's some pretty whimsical characters here who are very funny. The puzzles were also very interesting. use this sword, travel around with it, stab monsters, and sometimes push this weird foot statue thing to press down pressure plates. They even have some boss fights, which I found super unique and fun to play, even though you can't really lose at this game. Also, I'm super glad I didn't turn on the move counter, because you would have seen how long it took me to actually beat this, despite how easy it is. I've got to say, I enjoyed almost every moment that I played of this game, and the fact it was made by only 4 people really astounds me. I'd highly recommend picking this game up on Steam, since it goes on a pretty good sale price, and you should always support indie developers. This is definitely not free game Slop, and I would recommend playing it, but I don't think I'll open Epic Games for it. I'll probably just end up buying it on Steam. On to our next game. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna slide this by you real fast. I mean, if you made it all the way through to here, I mean... No? Okay, oh, okay, alright. Took me a while to think of a good way to describe Trash Goblin, so I think I'll go with how they described it. Power wash sim for RPG enjoyers. Gameplay loop follows breaking these blocks, cleaning objects, and then of course selling them. While that's all well and good, I found that the gameplay loop was pretty boring. Even though you could combine items and eventually color them, I found that it wasn't the most entertaining thing in the world to be constantly breaking things, cleaning them, and moving on. Satisfying sometimes, yes, but ultimately looping over and over to me just spinning the block trying to find new ways to break it so I can actually get to the item so that I can actually sell it to the person who's standing right next to me. There's no pressure in this game as there's no time limit, but it felt like there was pressure to me because I wanted to sell the item to the person. The real enjoyment from this game comes from the characters, who are all pretty interesting. I mean, this guy's literally a mushroom, what can you complain about? All their designs are colorful and cool, and they talk about this world outside of the shop that you of course never get to explore, but it's there. It's an interesting part of the game that has a lot of depth. That depth is hard to reach, however. I found myself playing this game the most out of the other two for about 2 hours. Granted, not a long period of time, but I felt like I barely scratched the surface and barely got into what the game actually offers. I don't want to dog on this game too much though, since it's a pretty enjoyable, cozy game, and I could find this game being extremely fun for streamers who can interact with their chat well. This game also has pretty passionate devs who are constantly updating the game, and despite what the only negative reviews on Steam will say, I didn't actually run into that many bugs, if any at all. And while I'd love to keep playing this game and to talk more about its good and bad aspects, I think this is honestly something left up to you. To answer the big question of whether or not I'd open Epic Games for this game, yeah, I think I would. I would say it's a great way to test the game to see if it's your type of cozy. And if you don't like it, I mean, you really didn't lose anything. It was free. Thanks for watching the video all the way through. This will be an ever-evolving series where I hope to show you some games that you probably wouldn't have played otherwise. There are a ton of free games to go through, and I'm sure we'll run into a lot of good, bad, and probably some slop. But for now, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!